Greetings. Namaste. Peace be with you. How do? I'm C. Jonathan Anderson. And we're going to kind of take a look at this thing called spirituality, esoterics and mysticism, the path. And to kind of guide this conversation, nuggets, etc., I'm going to draw from one of my books from 2013 called A Drop in the Bucket, Reflections, Meditation, and Muse by Father Clinton J. Anderson, otherwise known as C. Jonathan Anderson. As we climb Jacob's ladder, ascend the spiritual staircase, walk the labyrinth, and contemplate life's conundrums, joys, and meaning, we use sacred text, books, and quotes to guide the path from on high. And here are a few pearls or nuggets, as it were, from the cosmos, the iris of the third eye, the spirit realm, and reflections, meditations, and muse. I dedicate this to the holy ones who have shaped my path, my guides, my teachers, my mentors, and life. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few people, so in advance, 10,000 pardons. By no way is there any hierarchy or value in those that I list as guides. The sweet, sweet Holy Spirit, the Dalai Lama, Archbishop G. Augustus Stallings Jr., Mother Teresa, the dreadlock angel that taught me to breathe, Joey the Mystic, Master Rainy Cheeks, one of his many titles, far too many to mention, Bishop Kibi Oto, Reverend G.M. Greer, and many, 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 many spiritual guides that have smiled as I've climbed that ladder. As challenges confront us, it is our values that shape our response to those events, good or bad or indifferent. As challenges confront us, it is our values that shape our responses to those events, good, bad, or indifferent. Change starts with each one of us. Then it spreads out to others. Other than that, it's empty chatter and hollow words and egotistical actions. Sometimes what we consider fun isn't. It's actually absence of substance. One more time. Sometimes what we consider fun isn't. It's actually absence of substance. I run by one or two more and then I kind of dig a little deeper into just those few. The path, it's always about the path. The path, it's always about the path. Seasons give us the opportunity to recreate ourselves, reflect on our values, and celebrate the truth as we know it. Seasons give us the opportunity to recreate ourselves, reflect on our values, and celebrate the truth as we know it. Close out this segment with this. Things never satisfy. They only fulfill temporary thoughts of illusion that don't exist. It's only love that fills the soul. Things never satisfy. They only fill temporary thoughts of illusion that don't exist. It's only love that fills that void. In future segments, I'm going to break down some of those things with various scriptures from Christianity, thoughts and meditations from the Buddhist realm, look at some indigenous principles of nature and the spirit realm, and just kind of dialogue and play with that, looking for those deeper moments, those thoughts and reflections. It's always the path. It's always about the path. What are we talking about when we say that? Are we talking about the path to grandma's house? The path, the way to go to New York City, Chicago, Detroit, good old Garrett County, Maryland? What is that path? Well, make it real simple. That path is the way in which we try to make sense of this level of existence. That path comes in many forms. I think they end up in the same place. But we'll get into that. That path to what? Righteousness, to joy, to love. The path to destruction. What are all these paths? And which path? Only you can determine that. You can have indoctrination. You can have orientation. You can have ritual. You can have all of these things that suggest what you ought to do with this corporeal thing. But what's really important is that thing that you can't place your finger on, that you can't see, that thing called the soul, that thing called spirit, that thing called pneuma, that thing called prima, simply that thing called breath, the life force. What do we do? What gives us our movement of limbs? What gives us our personality, our character? That thing you can't really define with words. It just is. What is isness? That's the purpose of looking at this thing we call life. When did it begin? Does it end? Is there anything after this? Was there something before this? In Christianity, in the book of Jeremiah, it says, I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. It's been presented that there's something about us before coming into physical reality that has always been there. So, in essence, that makes us immortal. So we don't have to go through cryogenics. We can take a polar plunge and ice baths. We can do a lot of things. But if we've always been here, if we're part of that what does that make us? Dare I say little gods? Oh, all these things have challenges, particularly in Western culture. So these are the things that I'm going to explore with you. So who's this guy talking about exploring things? I've got a little bit of a background in what's considered spirituality or religion. There's some titles I have. I won't use those at this point in time. They're not really important to me. But As we go on, I'll reference some things. As I mentioned before, I'll reference the sacred text. But in the meantime, let me stay consistent. As challenges confront us, it is our values that shape our response to those events, good, bad, or indifferent. Where do our values come from? Grandpa, grandma, auntie, uncle, mom, dad, older siblings, teachers, preachers, imams, rabbis, shaman. All these folks introduce us to what's supposed to be important. Trust, integrity, honesty, being forthright. All of these things are introduced to us actually before we even come into the womb. A proud dad will put his head to a belly and listen, and then he'll start talking. Hey, little one, this is what's important. And we begin to give this verbiage. Mothers speak to that unborn child. People walk up and it agitates a lot of moms. They rub a belly and they start talking about who this child is going to be and so forth. All these things we juggle with. Our first confusion comes when we go to school. Someone tells us cigarette smoking's bad. Grandpa smokes, he doesn't have cancer, he's not mean, he doesn't hack and cough all the time, so we're confused. So already this thing called a path gets interrupted. Then we go to church and we find out you should do this and you should do that and you shouldn't do that. But then you find people who break all of those rules, but they're good people. They keep the lights on. They keep it warm or cool. There's food in the refrigerator. But they broke a rule. And this concept, this thing of God, we're going to explore all of that. In the meantime, I'll leave you with one more. And then we'll pick up again next week. Taste life like you do your favorite candy. Cherish it like your favorite memory. Now just breathe and enjoy. Make peace with self. All is well in the balanced universe. Taste life like your favorite candy. Cherish it like your favorite memory. Now just breathe and enjoy. Make peace with yourself, and all is well in the balanced universe. So much more to come. C. Jonathan, signing out. Peace. Shalom. Namaste. Ciao.